today. This is going to be an action-packed, let's say 45 minutes, because I got to go and do a class. So I'm going to get as much in as I can for you guys today to improve on your English. So what are we going to be looking at today? Let's jump over and jump into it. First, I'm going to look at some finance, personal finance, how you can best take care of your personal finance on a weekly, monthly and yearly basis. We'll be looking at an article that I grabbed from the Daily Mail today, and I've put in so we can just look at the things we need to look at. After finance, we're going to move on down to our business wrap up, which is from LinkedIn. Then we'll be grabbing some vocabulary and certain expressions from there. We'll look at maybe 5 things. They generally put on about 5 things. After that, I'm going to look at some business phrasal verbs. About 3 there I've got for you. After that, I'm going to look at this word, which has been doing the rounds lately, and it's quite common now, is enablement. Came up in a recent class of mine. Then I'm going to look at our typical human resources question, what they are asking, what is a typical question, and how you can approach it. And then, of course, you will tailor it to how you want to answer. Moving then on to how to interrupt in a meeting. This is great for learners of English because sometimes you might sit back and feel a bit uncomfortable and maybe you just don't know how to do it in English. I'm going to give you a few ways to do it. And then finally, we're going to be doing some listening from the Financial Times. So let's go in. We were going to look at our finance and how best we can look after our finances for 2023. And we're going to start firstly by looking at what we can do on a weekly basis. As I said, I pulled this article. I took it from the Daily Mail. I'm going to have to try and find that before I finish because to give a shout out to the author. But on a weekly basis, what we can do, and I've been doing it recently, is you check in with your saving and your spending. This is quite typical. I'm not reinventing the wheel, or the person who wrote this article is not reinventing the wheel, but it's sometimes just simple things that we need to take care of. So check in with your saving, have a look at what you're saving and what you're spending. Plan your meals ahead, says the author. Grocery shopping once a week instead of doing top-up shops throughout the week will automatically have you spending less money. So this is your personal finance. And it's kind of like, well, I was out today and I got to admit, I was doing one of these top-up shops because I wanted to, I wanted to get some bread. I forgot to get some bread. We all do it. So, but I saw another person who was crossing the road at the same time as me, and she was drinking a coffee. That type of thing, if you are buying coffee on a daily basis, that's going to add up. Now, if you live in Spain where I live, it's not as expensive as other parts of the world. But you can easily, I was talking to my friend at home in Dublin the other day, and he was saying a typical white coffee will set you back means cost €4. And there's often people who are doing this every day. So just having your coffee at home is going to be great. Grocery shopping, or the shopping, we call our weekly or our monthly shopping, weekly in my case, and do that once a week. If you plan your meals, you are also further cutting costs. Cutting costs is what all businesses want to do, with many also saying the cook once, eat twice idea is a great one to follow. Sometimes this has the name of batch cooking, where you can perhaps make something in a big pot and keep it for the rest of the week. Or indeed, what I did yesterday, cook and think of having this for at least 2 days. In the sense of, I've got 2 little boys, so I'm thinking of, okay, this will do for 2 days, and I'll have something else perhaps for 2 days, and I can revolve them. That's a good way to do it. Sometimes it's the simple things. I think the coffee one definitely is a great one. That's the type of thing that we think It's only a coffee. Who cares? But at the end of the week, let's say your working week, if you're buying 1 or 2 coffees outside, it adds up. That is on a weekly basis. Let's go down and see what we have for a monthly basis. We have each month you should review your budget and automate your bills, savings and investments. Automating your transfers means you'll be paying bills off without thinking about them. So to pay off something is to finish paying for something. Let me give you this kind of a phrasal verb here. To pay off. In this sense, it means finish paying. Essentially, to pay off something means to finish paying. If you're buying something, let's say a car, over time you're paying for your car, and then in the end you pay off the rest. Okay, but what this is here is just having an automated direct debit from your bank account. It goes out straight away, not something that you need to worry about. It just goes out direct debit straight away. And reviewing your budget means you can cut out any excess expenditure. If I could only remember, there's a woman who has, I'm going to try and bring this for you in the next stream. There is a woman who provides you, should have asked my wife before this, provides you with an Excel, and we've been using this and it's been very helpful to get rid of excess expenditure. That could be, for example, in my case, it was a car park. I was putting the car in a car park. I didn't really need to be honest, because there's plenty of space in an area near me. That was excess expenditure. I didn't need to use it. We cut that out. Okay, we'll see how that goes in the summer around here when there's a lot of people around. Okay, excellent. So that is automate your bills, direct debit, and looking at your budget, see what you have that you can get rid of, get away. Okay, in my case, it was the parking. Very useful. Okay, and finally down here, maybe I can make this, let's see if I can make this bigger for you guys. I'm going to, yeah, okay, bigger size. I'm just going to make sure that I'm not covering too much of the screen. I'm going to make myself a bit smaller, okay, so that you guys can see the screen. You can go back, you can look. Right, so on a yearly basis, you need to review your insurance policies, negotiate any bills where you might be able to get a better rate. So often this can include, in my case, I think it's important to look at the your phone provider. Often we don't like talking to them, but if you deal with a new company, they will want your business so much, they will do all the work for you and then bring you across to them. So you'll keep your number, you'll get a better rate, and then of course you can just do it next year and go back to the same company that you were with. Because when you're with them, we all know they don't care about you. Only when you're not with them. 3 savings account, every saver and investor needs. What are these? The first is a high yield savings account for short-term goals like going on holiday. The second is a high yield savings account for long-term goals like buying a house. And finally, the author said you need an emergency fund account for anything that goes wrong. Keep this one in a separate bank. That's an interesting idea because you kind of have your main bank, but you have the one over there that you don't use. That's just for a rainy day. A rainy day is what we use as an expression in English. Exactly what this means: in case of an emergency. When there's an emergency, you need that money for a rainy day. A rainy day is an emergency. Ideally, in your emergency fund, you need 3 to 6 months worth of your living expenses saved up in case anything goes wrong. Essentially, this is in case you get laid off. So if you are laid off, if you lose your job, unfortunately, this is a very real thing. It's happening. A lot of people, you want to have your emergency fund set up for 3 to 6 months to keep you going so you can get by. To get by is, in Spanish, it would be apañarte, but I'm not sure if it suits this thing. We say to get by for 3 to 6 months. Some very useful information there. I'm going to try and find out who that was again. It was from the Daily Mail, but I closed my computer because it was slow. But it's from a lady. Her name was Tia. I remember because it was a strange name for that I thought was an English person. She looked English anyway. But yeah, there you go. I'll try and get her name, hopefully before we end. Let's move on. What were we going to look at next? We were going to look at after expenses. We're going to look at the business wrap up from LinkedIn. And here we are over here. Okay. Just make sure that you guys are on the same page as me. Fantastic. Okay. I can go back across and make this. So we're going to look at some vocabulary here. And it keeps going on me. So I'm going to go back to the last page and I'm going to pause this. Okay, great. Let's look at some, the business wrap up from yesterday. In the environment, European groundwater levels are critically low. This is something that is happening around the world, in fact. Europe is facing issues with power generation and biodiversity damage as groundwater levels remain low. Austrian scientists have found, after years of heat waves, groundwater levels have not recovered. A heat wave is what we get for this extended period of very hot weather. I know in Spanish it's pretty much the same, heat wave, ola de calor. In your language, if you are not, mainly people here are Spanish, but if you're not, that's what a heat wave means. Hydroelectric plants are struggling to produce power, and nuclear stations are facing a lack of cooling water. So this is a problem in Europe at the moment, and I don't think anything there is too difficult for pronunciation and so on. Let's move on to the next one. Automakers, Toyota leads on sales as Volkswagen sees slump. Okay, good word we have up here, slump. So I'll try and show you with my hand. We have a raise, and then you have a slump. It's a fall in sales, a slump. It kind of goes down. Okay, let me go back and pause. Toyota sold 10.5 million vehicles in 2022, continuing as the top seller auto brand. It has, I think, a lot of people have trust in Toyota, see them perhaps as, I don't know, perhaps good customer service, and also a reliable car. Top selling. And again, remember, we say 10 point when we see this dot. We're going to say point when we talk about numbers. 10.5 million in 2022. Volkswagen came in second place after its lowest sales in a decade, 10 years, of 8.3 million vehicles last year. Toyota's global sales were down 0.1% and VW's fell 7%. Generally, when you see the acronym VW, we tend to say, or in English it is generally said, we say the letters. Not always. There are exceptions to the rule. There's no real rules in English. Anytime you have a rule, it just gets broken 5 minutes later. So, but generally, when you see the letters, you pronounce the letters. So 0.1%, and VW's fell 7%. COVID-19 lockdowns in China and the war in Ukraine had disrupted supply chains, VW said. So let's go on. Skills. Why the ability to write clearly is such a key skill. Interesting. Writing clearly is the most underrated skill successful people have, said Harvard neuroscientist Juliet Hahn. Underrated means people think it's not important, but it really is important. It's underrated. When something is overrated, we hear this generally, overrated more than underrated. It was like people say it's better than it actually is, it's overrated. And if it's people say it's worse than it is, or it's not as important, it's underrated. It can help with public speaking, small talk, and emailing, she argues. Her top tips include avoiding jargon. Jargon is kind of slang. Picking the right format, being concise, and walking readers through complex ideas. Right, so when you're walking people through complex ideas, is you're just talking to them in a clear way, and that is in a sense where you're avoiding jargon. Jargon is kind of business terms, business idioms. If you're trying to explain something, you want it to be straightforward. Straightforward means uncomplicated. Also, straightforward is a nice way to say something is easy, because sometimes when we say in English it's easy and then the other person can't do it, it seems the other person may feel kind of bad. But when you use the word straightforward, it means, okay, it might be difficult, but it shouldn't be. So you're giving them the room to not understand. So straightforward is a really great word. So again, we are avoiding jargon, picking the right format, being concise, so to be concise is to explain things well, and walking readers through complex ideas. So walking people through, okay, first, second, third, finally. Yeah, maybe that's I would agree with that. I don't think we can argue there, but yeah, maybe it is true that a lot of people are using too much jargon, kind of colloquialisms and words that I'm going to give you later in this stream. Idea of the day: keep in mind that companies are still hiring. As many companies announce large-scale layoffs, it's important to remember... you did it again. You got me. I forgot to pause. It's important to remember that other firms are still hiring, writes Gonzalo Sequeira, CEO of recruitment firm Hire. I did a survey. Of the 132 people who voted, 40% will be adding more than 40 people this year. If you believe in yourself and prepare well, nothing can stop you. So it's true. You should keep your chin up, okay? Be positive. There is work out there. And he did a poll, Gonzalo did a poll, and 40% of companies, I suppose, will be adding more than 40 people this year. Okay, so that's good news. And also, listening to the Financial Times news briefing this morning, I heard that the outlook from the IMF, International Monetary Fund, is bright. It's bright. It's good. Okay, for this year, better than expected due to China being back in the game after their COVID lockdown. Today's debate: should you avoid your phone for the first hour of the day? Is it even possible? Tej Lalvani, CEO of Vita Biotics. I try to spend the first hour of every day without my phone. Making the conscious decision to start each day without looking at it allows me to... Oh, you got me again, seriously. Okay. Making the conscious decision to start each day without it allows me to focus on what's happening around me. That's making a coffee, I suppose. Be present with my family before the day begins. That's good. Prioritize taking in some natural light. Okay, stand by a window. Get my exercise done. Open the window, close the window. It does wonders for me. When we say something does wonders for me, it's great for me. And I'd encourage you all to try the same. Okay, so don't look at your phone. Look out the window. Do a bit of exercise. You can't argue with that. I'm not going to argue with Gonzalo about that. And let's go back across. Where was I? There we are. That was the wrap up. Okay, let's move on now. And we're going to look at... What are we going to look at now? We are going to look at business phrasal verbs. I'll just make sure I've got them. Gotcha. Okay, our business phrasal verbs are to streamline, to monetize, and to leverage. I'm going to just quickly give you a definition, and then after that, I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so let's jump in and let's look at to streamline first. Okay, I'm going to make it a bit bigger so Okay. I'm going to try and make this bigger so that you guys can come back and look at it more clearly. Let's see if I'm in your way. Not too bad. You can see it. Okay. Business phrasal verbs. To streamline is to simplify and optimize a process or system to make it more efficient and effective. So the company is streamlining its supply chain to reduce costs and increase productivity. So to simplify, make it more easy, and optimize a process, make it better, just make it the best it can be. That is to streamline. And the company is streamlining its supply chain to reduce costs and increase productivity. It's a good word. I think it's difficult sometimes to get your head around it, to understand, but it just essentially is this, making things better. So if you're in a meeting, say, we need to make things better. Say, we need to streamline. And they'll be like, whoa, that's cool. Okay, to monetize. That is to turn something into a source of income or revenue. Example, the company is looking for ways to monetize its extensive database of customer information. Right, okay, so Facebook and WhatsApp and all of these companies have your data. And they said, well, what can we do to make money out of this? How can we monetize this? I know, let's sell it to third parties. Let's sell it to other people. We can monetize it. They will give us money. So ways to make money is to monetize, turn something into a source of income. And then finally, we have to leverage. And that is to use something to gain an advantage or to maximize its potential. The company is leveraging its strong brand reputation to expand into new markets. And that's something you can see all around us. You'll see, for example, a company that will be associated with something, let's say Apple. And then Apple decide, why don't we move into shoes? And just because they have a strong name, they can leverage their brand name to sell shoes. And you see this a lot now. People are just leveraging its brand reputation in order to move into different areas. A very common one, I suppose, is companies such as fashion houses making perfumes. It's chalk and cheese, completely different things, but we're like, oh yeah, that's Chanel, must be good. So leverage, gain an advantage through reputation. What can you use to gain an advantage, to leverage? Okay, excellent stuff. Now we're on down, and this is the word enablement. Again, I'm going to maybe if I just try and bring that back up there, actually. And I want to make it a bit bigger so you can see it. Thought I had it bigger earlier. Yeah, I want a bit bigger than that. Come on. Okay, enablement. Something that is being thrown around by Silicon Valley businesses and companies at the moment. It's in a business sense, enablement refers to the processes, tools, and support that organizations provide to their employees to help them perform their jobs effectively and efficiently. What does that mean? This includes providing employees with the necessary training, resources, and technology to do their jobs, and also creating a supportive and empowering work environment. The goal of enablement is to empower employees to succeed in their role and drive the organization's success. So you're basically giving the employees the tools they need to become successful. Training, support. Let's have a look at an example. Examples of enablement in a business context include providing employees with the access to training programs, mentorship opportunities. Mentorship is somebody who has been working there longer, more experience, helping you. And performance management systems. Okay, great. See how you are performing. That could be just feedback from your manager. Organizations may also offer flexible work arrangements, such as telecommuting, or allow employees to better balance their work and personal lives. By enabling their employees, organizations can increase productivity, drive innovation, and foster a positive corporate culture. Okay, so it all round, I would say a good synonym for enablement is support. Support in whatever area. And it's a kind of buzzword at the moment. You're hearing about enablement, but it's providing the tools and the support for employees to increase productivity, and then, as it says there, drive innovation and create a nice corporate culture. Okay, that is enablement, and you're going to see it. Okay, if you haven't already. Coming down to our human resources common question, which is, why do you want to work here? Okay, this is our human resources area, little corner that we'll be doing. And it's a common question, so we're going to look at a typical example that you can use and then move and tailor it around to the way that you want to answer. So the answer would be, here I've always been a fan of this company's innovative products and commitment to sustainability. I am particularly impressed with the company's focus on employee development and work-life balance. You could say here, I am particularly impressed with the company's focus on enablement. This aligns with my personal values, and I'm excited about the opportunity to be part of a team that makes a positive impact in the world. Additionally, I believe this is a company that is constantly evolving and growing, and I'd love to be a part of that growth. So really, this is a nice way that you can kind of have your template here and then put in the name of the company as you go along, change a few words here and there, but also obviously making it real in relation to the company. So if it were like Chanel or what's the name of that company? Like kind of an organic cream or something, you could use this. Like what was it here? Where is it? Sustainability. The commitment to sustainability. If you're going for a company that really is using organic products or keeping in mind waste and so on. So this is a good way. Again, I've always been a fan of this company's innovative products and commitment to sustainability. I'm particularly impressed with the company's focus on employee development and work-life balance. This aligns with my personal values, and I'm excited to... Where am I? I'm excited about the opportunity to be a part of a team that is making a positive impact in the world. Additionally, I believe the company is constantly evolving and growing, and I'd love to be a part of that growth. Because every company does believe that they are constantly changing, evolving and growing, and then they want people to be a part of that. It's a good answer. So that is our human resources area. Now, this is a part I want to talk about, which is interrupting in a meeting, which can be difficult, as I said earlier, for people in who have English perhaps as a second language or learners of English. It's like, how do I... Normally I just kind of sit back because I don't really know how to interrupt. Okay, so we're going to look at 3 ways you can do it depending on what it is. If you have a request, like you want to say something, you can say... If someone is speaking and you need to interject, simply raise your hand politely and say, "Excuse me, can I add something here?" So you want to say something and you get the excuse me, can I add something here? And this doesn't matter how quick or slow. Obviously, I am saying it quickly, but it's a, "Excuse me, can I add something here?" And of course, they're going to let you say something, or you can just start to say it. If you obviously can just start saying things, but if you want to interject politely, perhaps there's a superior, so you can say, "Excuse me, can I add something here?" Now, if you want to remind people about time, the meeting is running over time, for example, you can say, "Excuse me, we only have 10 minutes left for this meeting. Can we try keep on track and stick to the agenda?" Okay, so this is when people have gone off and they start talking about different things. Who knows what it is, and just you'll know exactly yourself how you want to say it, but you can say, excuse me, we only have 10 minutes left, or we only have 5 minutes left. Can we keep the meeting on track and stick to the agenda? The agenda is the list of things that you need to do. So on the agenda today in the meeting is blah, blah, blah. It's not like your diary of work. It's more like the agenda is the list of things for the meeting. So there you go. Excuse me, we only have 5 minutes left or 20 minutes left. Can we try to keep on track and stick to the agenda? And if you want to make a relevant contribution, if someone is speaking about a topic that is relevant to your area of expertise, you can interrupt by saying, excuse me, I have some relevant experience on this topic that I would like to share. May I add my thoughts? Okay, that is something that it's a bit long, but once you're comfortable, it's, as I said, it's quite straightforward. Excuse me, I've got some relevant experience in this area that I would like to share. May I add my thoughts? And even the last part, if you forget that, it's kind of the same thing. So excuse me, I have some relevant experience on the topic that I'd like to share. May I add my thoughts? That's just a bit extra at the end. If you remember it, fantastic. That way you're not only interrupting, but you're also adding value to the conversation. So you've got the at the beginning, the polite request. Sorry, can I add something here? Excuse me. Sorry is quite common, but excuse me. Can I add something to that? The timekeeper. Excuse me, when you have 10 minutes left. So could we try to keep on track and stick to the agenda? And then the contribution when they start talking about your area of expertise. Excuse me, I've got some relevant experience on this topic that I'd like to share. And then, of course, may I add my thoughts? So good ways, as I said, you can come back and look at this and hopefully it will help you. You got your polite request, timekeeper reminder, and your relevant contribution. And after that, I think I had something for you down here. Yes, I wanted to just, before we go, do a bit of listening. Very important to do listening every day, if possible. And we're going to look at some right now before we go. And this is about the food revolution. And you're going to notice the accent here is going to be American. Okay, it's from the Financial Times. You can get some free podcasts from those guys. You don't have to have a subscription to that newspaper, because it actually is very expensive to have a subscription to the Financial Times. Of course, if you can get your company, your business to pay for it, go for it. Fantastic, brilliant. But we're going to have a look at this video here, and let's go ahead and listen.
Food waste has been...
Just to remind you, you can read the transcript, which is at the bottom of the page. Don't be frightened by the speed of the audio.
Been found to be one of the biggest contributors to climate change. On-farm food loss means that perfectly edible food does not leave the farm simply because it is surplus or not perfectly shaped for retail stores. The Full Harvest Marketplace connects farms directly to produce buyers to make the buying and selling of produce faster, easier, more transparent, data-driven, and more sustainable.
Food waste has always been a big problem for growers. Lakeside Organic Gardens is the largest 100% organic farm in the United States. We grow about 60 different commodities, most of those year-round. The Full Harvest Marketplace has been so easy for us to use. We're able to input the products that we have available. They help us move product that we normally wouldn't be able to sell to other people.
Solti is a nationally distributed organic beverage company in 48 states and about 7,000 stores. We press ginger, turmeric, green apple, organic lemon, all types of fresh commodities, and we utilize Full Harvest to source a lot of these commodities. We've realized that Full Harvest strengthens our supply chain way more than having just one vendor, because Full Harvest can go to multiple growers or packers.
Food losses at farm level are really underestimated and not well understood. And often investments go more downstream in the value chain. Rabo Venture team is always looking for cutting-edge solutions like full harvest that really can scale impact, especially on the food system transitions. And they do not only provide capital, but also help the companies with our extended networks. Nowadays we throw away 1/3 of all produced food worldwide. If we cut that at least by half, we can provide more food with less impact on water, on land and GHG emissions.
At scale, we can help solve not only climate change, but health, nutrition, resource management, and efficiency. The produce industry is currently a $1 trillion industry, up to 96% offline. And by digitizing the produce supply chain, we can make the whole produce industry more efficient, and truly it is a win-win for all parties.
Excellent stuff. So as you could see there, that is the food revolution, streamlining, lots of interesting vocabulary there for you. And of course, like I said, you can catch this Financial Times on YouTube itself. You can get the podcasts for free. And that's the type of thing that is really useful for you to be listening every day. It is a part of your English learning that you can do. You can just find out popular podcasts and so on. Some really great stuff from the Financial Times. Also recommend The Economist. And that's all I'm going to do for today. I hope it was useful for you guys. And I will be back in a few days again to help you. If it's useful, just tell colleagues, work colleagues, share the content with other people. And I hope I'm really able to help you with your business English and also your understanding. So I'll see you in a few days. Have a great